Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon face, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hey now all, I'm Joey C. Welcome back to another episode of Spirit Sherpa. This is the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. With me, as always, is the Spirit Doctor, Kelle Sparta. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Joey.
What's happening?
Oh, God, what isn't happening?
There's lots going on.
Life is going on, man, and I'm rolling out a new program that I'm doing that's all about the energetics of business.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to be teaching people all about how your energy field and your internal blocks and the way in which you operate the energetics of your business impact your revenue and awesome. How well business works. So, and you've talked about exciting.
Projects like this coming up potentially for a while now. So this is the culmination of all of those things we've hinted towards over the years.
It is here. It has arrived.
Oh, beautiful, and I'm sure we'll get more about that coming up in the future.
Yeah,
as soon as you get that nailed down.
Yeah, we will be doing. I've got a group for it already. So, wow. If you guys are ready, I'm going to post it in the Spirit Sherpa group, and people who are in business and ready to talk can come see it. So
that's
not what we're talking about today.
That's not. Yes, that's the Facebook group, just to make sure. So if people want to get information on that, when it starts getting available, they can go in the Facebook group. We'll talk about it in the later episodes. But as you said, that is not today. Today is equally as exciting, but maybe a little bit more so. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're actually going to talk to a psychic and medium who isn't me. And however, she is one of my favorite people because she is just a badass and she's hysterical and so full of energy. And if you could see her right now, she is literally dancing on screen.
Her energy is amazing. And this is going to be so much fun. I can tell already.
So Savannah Martin is with us today, and she is a gifted psychic and medium, and she is probably one of the most fun people you'll ever meet in your life. She's got more energy in her pinky than most of us have in our entire bodies, and that's coming from me. So, that tells you something. So, Savannah, welcome.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. And what a great welcome. I'm so excited. Let's do this. Woo!
Seriously, folks, she is dancing. She's got her power shoes on. It's amazing. Well, welcome, Savannah.
Thank you.
So, Savannah, tell us how you discovered that you were a psychic and a medium.
Yeah, so it was a really cool story. I was 19 years old, and I was actually an intern at Carolyn's Sakonnet Vineyard in Little Compton, Rhode Island. And with this, it's a very spiritual location. I was on day 6, so obviously very experienced in wine and all those things 6 days in. So with that, I was having my lunch and I was sitting down, and a woman came up to me and she goes, and I wish I could make this up, but she goes, "You have a gift that's about to be unleashed." And I was like, "Excuse me?
Long Island medium is your
literally
or something?"
Pretty much. She goes, "I have never been here before, and I woke up and I found this place and I knew I had to come here, and it was to see you." And then she went ahead and told me all of this information, not only about myself, but about my family members. And it was all accurate. And obviously, here I am, my first internship ever, first thing. So just to get you an idea of where I'm at. Having lunch. So it's my break for the day. And this woman's coming up to me and telling me vivid details about things that you don't want details about, or someone that you don't know to tell you. So she's literally, and then she goes, you have this gift that's about to be unleashed. And then she went ahead and said all these other things that did come true, which was wild. And that was when the first time I really tapped in, because I started saying my own facts about my own life that were to come true later. And I didn't know that. And then so I obviously was crying and hysterical and like excited to go back to work, obviously.
Did you get fired?
No, it was literally the best place. It was a bunch of women and they were like, don't worry, we got you some ice cream. Come here in the back and go home for the day. You're all set. And if you need tomorrow off, let us know. And I was like, what? Like, where am I? Like, I'm used to a place that's like, this doesn't happen normal. Like, I'm from a regular place. Like, this doesn't happen, but it did. Right. And then I drove home that day and I had my first out-of-body experience, and I was driving.
While driving,
of course. So I was driving and I was out of my body and I was in this white room, and this little boy came up to me and said, everything's going to be okay. And I had this extreme sense of calmness. And then I went back into my body, and then I obviously started crying like anyone would. So
I hope you pulled over.
I did. Thankfully, I was like the only person on the road in a back road. It was fine. Yeah. Good news.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I was told I was a medium. Then about a week and a half later or so, I actually was at my house, and I was going through my drawers. I remember it so vividly. And I was like, Anthony, Tony, why is this name coming to me? And all of a sudden I'm like, a barber. He's a barber. Anthony the barber. Okay. And I'm like getting this accent, Italian accent. And I go and tell my mom that there's a ghost in the house named Anthony. My mom's like, you're nuts. Like, no. This isn't like, we never really talked about ghosts before. So because of that, it was a little like, oh, okay. So she tried to, she actually spent 6 months trying to disprove me and what I was saying, only for them all. Like, she even went to the Saunderstown is where we live, but the Saunderstown library for the records, you know what I mean, to see the property records, and found out Anthony did live in the house that we were at. So it was just like wild and crazy things that like my mom was like, this is insane. Okay, like I need to stop disproving my daughter, and like she's the real deal. So like next thing you know, my mom was on board, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's fantastic. So let's hear something. Tell us a little bit about some of the experiences that you might have had with working with your clients. You obviously don't name names because, that's confidentiality breach, but, give us a little story. Everybody wants to hear the stories.
Totally. So one of the wonderful women that I do readings for, I actually had the opportunity to do a reading for her. And one of the most beautiful things that I can do is actually help mend relationships on both sides. So with that, this girl, she had a challenging childhood with her father, and he had actually crossed over. I didn't know this when I started reading her, and then I picked up on the father energy. And it ended up that both of them had been struggling with different parts of the relationship on both sides. And it was so incredible. She was crying in tears. He, on the other side, was showing so much emotion and just so much caring, loving energy that really healed both ends of the relationship. And she's actually one of the people who gave me a testimonials who said how incredibly healing the journey has been for her with her father on the other side. They have a better relationship now than they actually did in the physical. So, and that is quite common, especially if there's challenges in the physical. Once one has passed over, a lot of the times the challenges kind of come to surface and move forward from there. So it's very exciting. But yeah, she's an incredible person, and she was so half of her heart was definitely, you could tell, kind of almost shut off due to that challenge with her father. So because of that, to really see her open up and see her engage and see that energy flow through, it really showed me another level of healing that I can do, which was really incredible.
And now as a psychic, how are you doing with that? Tell us a little bit about a client experience there. Yeah. Psychic experience, whatever. Yeah.
I'm very good at calling babies. I will say that for And I'll say this before I go into more psychic stories, but one of my good cousins, she was sitting next to me and I was like, someone's pregnant. And she was like, was like, oh, so-and-so's pregnant. And I was like, no, it's not them. It's someone else. And it was the person next to her. And she ended up, and I was like, she's going to have a boy and it's going to be amazing. And I was saying all these things about his characteristics and it was so perfect. And then next thing I know, a few months later go by, it's a boy. All the things came true. And then the next baby I called was our little cousin Max. And my cousin Emily, she's the best. She literally, I was tuning into her energy and I was like, oh my gosh, the little boy, I love it. But babies, I'm really good at calling. But psychically, other than that, everything really shifts and changes. So I can do, one of my favorites is I actually told one of my clients that she should not take a job that she was about to take. She didn't listen, unfortunately. And a few months later, she did get terminated from the job. So it's things like that actually, when I find out, of course, that's not what I want for clients, but things do happen. And I've also called relatives passing away as well, just especially for the healing of both sides of the relationship. So if it's someone I'm going to say like so-and-so's sick, then it may be a good idea to touch base with them and really heal that relationship before you may not have that opportunity.
Yeah. When you're psychic, there's all sorts of weird stuff that happens, And I remember a friend of mine was getting ready to go see her sister who had breast cancer. And she looked at me and she's like, do I need to go this week or can I go next week? And I was like, no, you really need to go this week. Right. And she was like, oh, okay. And I didn't know why. I just assumed it was because, it would be too late. But as it turns out, it was the end of February last year when she was going to do this. And she was staying for 2 weeks and she got back 5 seconds before the quarantine hit and they shut down all the planes. She would have been trapped in Brazil. Oh, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, you have to go this week actually turned out to be so that she could get home.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy how things happen in that way. It blows my mind.
I didn't get that because who knows, who could foresee the pandemic? No one expects the pandemic.
No. And I remember I actually wrote in my journal to myself that I needed to have a job where I could work from home by the year of 2020. And I literally was just like, okay. And I fortunately did. But I looked back on my old journals and I was like, oh my goodness, like, of course I wouldn't have called a pandemic, but I knew something in my own way. I needed to be secured at home.
Right. Yeah. It's like, we moved here into this house in January of the pandemic happening in March. And we were living in an apartment complex with 500 people, 500 units, not even people, 500 units, multiple people per unit. And I was like, I would have been miserable stuck in that thing. I've been miserable. Right. So, yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things where you just right under the wire, Oh
my God. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. The life of a medium.
So I'm going to give you a little piece of advice though. Because, from one psychic to another, when you go on dates, do not tell the men that you're psychic.
I have done this and it has not gone.
It backfires.
Well, they tried to get a reading from me and I was like, that's not what I want. I'm like, I don't read my significant others. That's not what I do.
Yeah. If you do it, it gets ugly because now you know too much about them and they feel exposed and you never get a second date ever. Yeah. Yeah. This is the downside. For all the psychic mediums listening, don't tell your first date that you're a psychic. Just don't tell them. And no. Yeah. You can't say no because then they feel like If you say no, they feel like you're denying them. If you say yes, then you're overexposing them and there's no win. Just don't tell them.
I've said no, and then I tell them how much that, like, I'm like, if you want to pay me, I'll happily do this, but then I don't want to date you. So then they're like, oh, never mind. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh my goodness. And next week on Life and Love of Psychics.
Literally.
Oh my goodness. This took an
That would be a
interesting
great
turn. I love it.
reality show, though.
It really would.
And everyone, that's the
really
craziest thing. People always ask me, so are we going to be good together? I'm like, dude, like, I don't look into my own future. Like, I do, but not that much. Come on. It doesn't work like that. I wish.
Oh, I'm sure you get all the time. Both of you probably get. Well, can you give me the lottery numbers? What are the numbers?
All the times. And I'm like, if I had the freaking lottery numbers, I would not give them to you.
And I wouldn't be talking to you.
I don't get the lottery numbers. That's not how my gift works.
One time I did get it, though, and it was at a casino, but it was just to prove a point. And I was with my mom, and we were at a casino on a cruise ship, and I was like, went to the back corner, and it was like a $5 machine, and I did it, and I won $40, and I went straight to it, and I said, Mom, this is like, I'm feeling it right now. And after that, I didn't feel it again. So they were like, that's enough. That was just to prove one point, not another.
Yeah. I used to live right next to the Mohegan Casino and Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut. I used to live right smack in the middle between them. And every year for my birthday, I would go to one of them, and I would bring $100, and I would play until I tripled my money, and then I would leave, because by the time I had tripled my money, they would be checking the dice, because I play craps, right? And so I called like 12 rolls in a row, and they were checking the dice and looking at me and checking the dice. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Bye. Gotta go. Taking my money and running. Yeah.
So don't tell boyfriends and don't tell casino owners. That's
well, you need to
basically
tell boyfriends
people.
eventually. If you're doing this as a job, you do need to let them know.
If they're a boyfriend, by then you can tell them. But first dates, never.
Okay.
First 3 dates, you just don't tell them.
Good to know. Good to know.
Oh my God.
So do you want to go out on a limb?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do a prediction for me or Joey?
Oh, What would you like to know?
Well, what do you got for us? What do we need to know? How about that?
This is so cruel.
Just give me a minute.
No, she's a badass. She's totally got this. I have no concerns. I wouldn't do this to her if I didn't know she had it.
This is actually on the spot, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
She didn't know this was coming. That's why I asked if she was willing. Yeah. That's why I was asking if she was willing.
So there's something about your the house.
Okay.
And you need to make sure your inspection passes prior to your deal going through. And there's 2 houses that you really, really like. But one in particular, there's going to be something with the inspection. And I'm not sure if the person's not going to check it properly or something in that way. But I would make sure you look into it. Definitely.
Okay.
And hold on. Let me take out of your energy and go into Joey's. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Double whammy.
Joey, do you have kids?
I do.
I have 2. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So they're kind of young, right? Am I wrong?
Ish. They're teenagers.
Okay. Is one of them looking at colleges right now?
Very soon.
Okay. So there's I don't think she's going to get into her first. It's a she, right? Am I right on that or no?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think she's going to get into the first choice, but I think her second choice school is going to be the one for her. And I think it's going to be she's going to be truly happy there. And she's going to find a lot of her like friends that she like has in her wedding. So that's what's really coming through on that.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'm glad. So yeah, that's what I got. I mean, I can go into more if you want me to.
No, I think that was great.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome
good.
stuff.
This is cool.
Thank you
stuff. Thank you
for playing along.
Yeah, so I'm glad I could do it. I was like, oh my God. Oh,
well, you know, I figured we'd put you on the spot so people could see how you operate under pressure.
Okay, so
well, ladies
now
and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed.
Well, now that they've got a taste of you at work, where can people go to find you? You were mentioning before we got on that you've just got your new website up and running. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So I am the Rhode Island Medium. I'm from Rhode Island. So you can book any appointment with me at therhrodeislandmedium.com. With that, I do medium readings through Zoom, and I can also do it through the phone. With COVID-19, I am not going to do readings in person, but you can also follow me on Instagram at the Rhode Island Medium and follow me on Facebook.
Okay, so
is your Facebook page the Rhode Island Medium as well?
Correct. And then if you do mention the podcast, the great news is we'll be giving you $50 off your first reading, as long as you just mention it in the little message bubble when you book your reading.
Perfect. And like I am on the website right now. It looks fantastic.
Thank you.
The cover photo is adorable, by the way. I love that hat. So folks, go to therhrodeislandmedium.com. And as you said, if they mention the podcast, they get the special treatment.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you're working with people, do they need to tell you what they want to know about, or can they do what we just did and just say, well, give me what you got?
I do both. So I always like to do a little chatting with the person prior to our reading starting, just to let the guards down of everyone and be in the same space. And then we really get into it. So with that, it depends on the energy of the reading, to be quite frank. So with that, if someone's like, give me what you got, I'm like, all right, let's roll. And then if someone's not as open right away, or they're kind of like nervous, especially, I'll start to talk to them and see what they're trying to get out of the reading. Especially if you're trying to communicate with a loved one that has passed on. I do like to know if you're trying to communicate with someone, because in some cases, spirit doesn't always come through if there's not something to be said right away. I can always ask if you are looking for a certain message, though, especially.
Yeah. And I can second that, guys. If you're coming in to talk to a loved one on the other side, you need to tell her who they are. I want to talk to my grandmother, or I want to talk to this person's name, right? You know, Joe Blow, right? I want to talk to them because, and sometimes, if they've got a common name and they're not related to you, sometimes having a photo of the person would be helpful, so that she has something energetically to tap into, right? Because every person has a unique energy signature. And that's true whether they're on this side of the veil or the other. And so either we're going to connect through you, we're going to hop through you to the person's energy, or we're going to tap in through a photo to do that, right? And I say we because, you know, I do this, but I don't do it as a service. So, you know, if you need it as a service, you go talk to Savannah, right? I know how to do it. I just don't do it as a service, right? So go talk to Savannah. But but that's how that's how you do mediumship, is you find the person's energy signature. And if they're willing, then they come and talk to you and you serve as a translator, right? And so, you know, they say, tell them this. And you say, okay, I'm going to tell them that. And by the way, they got this look on their face. This is what they look like. And this is what they're saying. If they're
funny, I'll start laughing. I'll also get feelings in my body of if that's how they passed, or quick and fast. I always do a snap and a clap, because that's what it comes to for me.
These are the sorts of things. And what I want to say too, and I'm going to say it for you because I know it's not going to come from as well to the audience as it will coming from me, because I'm not the one doing the work. Don't come in and like be skeptical. You know, this is not an entertainment This is something you come to because you want some information. You need some information, and respect your reader. Okay. Whether it's Savannah or somebody else, please respect your reader. Don't come in and test them and be snotty about it, because, they're still going to get the information. They're just not going to have a pleasant time with you. And that's just not kind. Right. So, if you want to know something, don't make them guess, ask. Right. I get that you're trying to get a feel for whether or not they're any good, but you'll get that based on the answers you get. And
the weeks to come.
Yeah. And you get better answers and more answers if you're more open. So, be open in the moment and then decide whether or not they were any good later. Right.
It takes some time. And that's the biggest thing. People think like right after you leave the reading, you're going to know. No, it actually takes some time to digest and like see how the next few days go and next few weeks go, because a lot of shift happens within that time period. Because what I do is I tap into your energy field and we talk about things that you may not always talk about with people, or a lot of the time, honestly, or with having communication with spirit and other loved ones that have passed. That's going to do healing to you. So there's so much energetic shift that goes on that you really need to focus on, more so than understanding if did I get my money's worth or not? Because you're not going to find out right away. You honestly will, but
yeah, yes, and there's a yes and.
I think you just created a T-shirt that says "Shift Happens."
Shift happens.
So, and I'll give you guys an example of this, right? So I had a reading done by a friend of mine, and he said to me, you need to step into your guru energy. And I was like, I'm not in my guru energy. And he's like, no. I'm like, really? Why am I not? He's like, I don't know, but you need to. And neither one of us could like wrap our heads around exactly what the shift meant that I needed to make. And then I talked to another friend of mine, and she and I were chatting, and she looked at me and she's like, you're holding this energy in this way. And you could leave it that way, but if you pulled it back in and you integrated it, you would hold things very differently, and you would be able to more modulate your own experience. And I don't want to go into the details because it would be a long story, but I did the shift. And then I happened to have a conversation with that same friend that had done the original reading. And I said, oh, by the way, I did this shift and it's significant to how it changed the way that I am holding my energy. I said, is this the guru energy you were talking about? And he's like, yes, you're holding it now. And I'm like, fantastic. Right? Yeah. And that's the sort of thing that we're talking about, is that you may not know what it is you need to do, but the answer will show up when you're open to receiving it, right? Because it's not like I went to this other friend of mine and asked her, hey, how do I step into my guru energy? She didn't have an answer. I didn't ask her that. She and I were chatting and she just came out with, that's because of this, right? Because we're both high-end healer types. Yeah. And so we just sort of get hits for each other, and that's what we do, right? So, it just shows up. Right. So when you get a reading, you need to be open to see what shows up. Right. And so that's the sort of thing you're talking about with the shift happens.
Absolutely.
So
which the t-shirt that we will be made.
You're starting to use it as an actual tagline now. Shift happens. There it is.
Shift happens.
I love it when shift happens.
I'm obsessed.
All right. So, Savannah, you have mentioned that you're on the Facebook. Will you be joining us in the Spirit Sherpa Podcast Facebook group?
I am there, and I will. Oh. Yeah. I will continue to be there.
So
I've been there, baby.
She's been there, baby. Well, just making sure that if people are looking for you, they can interact with you there. They can also go to your Facebook page, the Rhode Island Medium, and your website, and all these excellent places that they can reach out and touch you. And you guys virtually. Can shift happen virtually.
Oh my God.
Because we're not COVID, back in the dating conversation.
Well, they all know you're a psychic now, so you're not getting a second date. So forget it.
No second date.
This pool is empty.
This pool is done.
Oh my gosh.
Too freaking funny. All right. Is there anything either of you would like to say as we wrap up here?
No, you guys rock. Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Like I said to Kelly the first time I met her, when I met her, I thought I was meeting a famous person because you know what? I was.
Oh.
Love her.
There you go. And by the way, Savannah, you didn't know that you'd have enough to talk about. Here we are.
I know, right? We did
Nailed
it.
Went so fast, right? That's just how it goes.
Kelly, what about you? How about a Kellyism?
Kellyism for the day is trust your reader. You'll get a better reading.
Amen. Oh, and dance before your first meeting of the day.
There you go.
Ooh,
That's my.
wow.
That's just
a Savannah-ism.
My Savannah-ism is
Savannah-ism.
like one whole song, dance before your meeting, and you know what? You're going to show up a lot. You're going to show up for yourself a lot more.
There you go.
I love this. This just changed my whole world. All right. Thank you both very much. And that is all that we have for this week. But be sure to join us next time as Kelly adds another chapter into your guide to energy, magic, and the spirit world. I'm Joey C., here with Kelle Sparta and Savannah Martin, and you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye.
Each mile I travel over 13,000 now.
Spirit Sherpa is the sole property of Kelle Sparta Enterprises and is distributed under a Creative Commons BY-NC-ND 4.0 license. For more information about this licensing, please go to www.creativecommons.org. Any requests for deviations to this licensing should be sent to kelly@kellesparta.com. To sign up for or get more information on the programs, offerings, and services referenced in this episode, please go to www.kellesparta.com. This episode of Spirit Sherpa has been produced by Honu Voice Productions, with post-production by Christopher Wright.
Into my home.